This MAGA civil war has been getting bigger and messier by the day, with one of the big flashpoints now being Vice President JD Vance jumping headfirst into this whole civil war to defend Tucker Carlson's son. Because if you don't know, because you're a normal person, Tucker's son Buckley was actually hired in January to work on JD Vance's press team. So he works in the VP's orbit, and also for some background to the story, you also need to know who Tucker's brother is, as he frequently posts about politics online and is also confusingly named Buckley. And so that Buckley actually recently shared a clip of white nationalist Groyper leader Nick Fuentes saying, "We didn't vote for Trump because he was an obnoxious boomer. We voted for Trump because he was going to put America first." And Tucker's brother agreed with Fuentes there, saying, 100%, where within this clip is he wrong? And so that it stoked some of the MAGA civil war flames, which makes sense because Tucker Carlson's interview with Nick Fuentes is what kind of just put such a big spotlight on this. It's something that really divided the right, MAGA world, Republicans. I mean, you'd go online and you'd see tons of people saying things like, oh, he shouldn't have given Nick a platform, saying that Nick's very anti-Semitic. But then with Tucker sitting down with him and Tucker's brother seemingly posting in support of him, you had conservative commentator and journalist Sloan Rackmuth posting about the family, claiming that Tucker's brother idolizes Nick Fuentes and then writing, racism and anti-Semitism is a Carlson family trait. Is Tucker's son Buckley, who serves as JD Vance's top aide, also a vile bigot? America deserves to know how deep the Carlson's family ethnic and religious hatred runs. And while some people, they thought that it maybe wasn't fair to project the views of the two elder Carlsons onto the younger Buckley, in a follow-up post she continued, the fact that Tucker and now his brother are prominently platforming Fuentes, it's reasonable to wonder about other Carlsons. Do the people at the highest levels of our government who influence policy share noxious views of Jews? But then the person who came to Buckley's defense probably the loudest was JD Vance himself, who wrote, Sloan Rackmuth is a, quote, journalist who has decided to obsessively attack a staffer in his 20s because she doesn't like the views of his father. Every time I see a public attack on Buckley, it's a complete lie. With him then continuing to argue with the journalist in a thread, noting that her bio says she defends Judeo-Christian values, but JD argued, is it a Judeo-Christian value to lie about someone you don't know? Not in any church I ever spent time in. With him adding, I have an extraordinary tolerance for disagreements and criticisms from the various people in our coalition, but I am a very loyal person and I have zero tolerance for scumbags attacking my staff. And then in response, you had people like Megyn Kelly applauding JD for this defense, arguing they can't bring down Tucker, so they're going after his son. And then also you had Candace Owens retweeting his message and likewise slamming attacks against Tucker. But then also a very big reaction was JD's remarks eliciting more backlash, with many noting that he hasn't really commented on the whole Nick Fuentes situation that the right's been infighting about. Trump sort of has. He actually just told reporters the other day that he had no problem with Tucker interviewing Nick.
I had some great interviews with Tucker Carlson, but you can't tell him who to interview. I mean, if he wants to interview Nick Fuentes, I don't know much about him, but if he wants to do it, get the word out. Let him, people have to decide. Ultimately, people have to decide.
While JD has touched on the infighting, mostly to dismiss it as a stupid distraction, he hasn't really weighed in on where the party should draw the line with Nick Fuentes. And that's something that has shocked a lot of Republicans because Fuentes has said some kind of just plainly awful things about JD and his family.
And now they're all in favor of a fat race mixer who's married to a Jew who named his son Vivek. Your guy is literally a fat gay race trader who married a Jew.
And so you had a lot of people, including plenty of people on the right, seeing JD rushing to Buckley Carlson's defense over this and saying, seeing our VP attack a small reporter over serious and legitimate concerns about Carlson's son working for him tells me everything I need to know about where he stands. It should be pointed out that he didn't even defend his wife this strongly after Groyper's viciously attacked her. You then also had conservative commentators like Dave Rubin adding, you were totally right, nobody should be judged for their parents' words or actions. But, and I think you know this, the very people relentlessly attacking Jews now have Indians next up on the docket, and that includes your wife, even if she eventually converts to Christianity. So yes, Tucker can interview whoever he wants, his brother can post garbage memes all day, and his son, who may be just fine, can work for the vice president. But I think people are asking you to stand up when you see something evil. And with that, moving forward, you have some saying they wouldn't support any potential presidential run from him because of this, saying supporting Groypers and woke right will destroy his career. Yesterday, Vance demonstrated his priorities. So I will say, with all this, it is worth noting that he has addressed Nick in the past. Over a year ago, he actually disavowed him.
Nick Fuentes, an avowed anti-Semite, went after your wife. He had previously dined at Mar-a-Lago with Donald Trump. Does this have any room in your movement, in the MAGA movement?
Of course it doesn't have any room in the MAGA movement, and of course—
you disavow him and this.
And of course Donald Trump has criticized this person. Look, I think the guy's a total loser. Certainly I disavow him.
Of course, the big issue for a lot of the Republicans that are concerned about this is that was August of 2024. When you're talking about JD Vance, you never kind of know where he stands at that exact moment until he says it. This is a man who once equated Donald Trump to America's Hitler, and now he is his vice president. And also what's changed since 2024 is that Nick's position on the right has drastically changed. He has become become much more mainstream. And so you're kind of seeing people in two camps. Some saying this shows that JD Vance is scared of the Nick Fuentes wing of the Republicans. Though then you also have others saying, well, JD Vance actually, he's more on this side now. He doesn't want to alienate them in case he needs their support at some point. And also with this, I'll say, and this part is my opinion, I can't really tell if JD Vance talking about the infighting that he's seeing on the right as being kind of small and stupid, if that's the way he actually sees it or not. But if he does see it that way, he is incredibly wrong. The following that Fuentes has built up on the right is enough to, I think, derail a 2028 election. Tucker Carlson having Nick Fuentes on his podcast, that wasn't him opening up the tent. That was him bending the knee. So as far as what that means for the future of the Republican Party, that's what we're gonna have to wait to see. But it does feel like more and more every day, and this could obviously change at the drop of a hat, that MAGA, as we know it, is kind of getting torn apart and becoming a different thing with different goals, right? And there's the question of, well, what takes the stage after Trump? But for now, as we wait to see how things play out, even in the short term, let me know your thoughts, opinions, and reactions.